So I was thinking about that Terrence McKenna quote that if you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. And I don't want to, I got to get somewhere where there's no wind. But I was thinking about that quote, right? And I was thinking about how, like, if you don't have an idea for who you want to be or where you want to be, like, if you don't have an idea of where you want to be in 5 years or who you want to be in 5 years or who you want to be in 10 years, like, there's people that say, like, if you come up with a 10-year plan, there's people that say, you can get that plan done faster. But it's not about getting the thing done faster. Like, it's about getting the thing done right. So, like, whoever you have decided you want to be, or whatever you've decided you want to have, like, you have to then plan and then follow step by step in how to get whatever the fuck you're trying to get. Like, if it's as simple as you want to get in shape, then you start working out and you add it into your life. But like that's what I mean. You're not going to randomly get in shape. It's not just going to happen to you randomly. It happens because you intentionally wanted to get in shape. Like, intention matters is what I'm saying. That your intention of, like, cuz it goes over people's heads, but intention means a lot more than just, they'll say before you go into a psychedelic experience, have an intention. That's true. But life is a psychedelic experience. Like, just sober life is a psychedelic experience. And if you have intention with your life, it becomes a better experience than if you had no intention with your life. And, it's as simple as, they would say, what do you want to do when you get older? They would say that in school, right? And I talked about that in a video. But I think at some point, it becomes no longer about, like, what they want for us. It's the same thing that happens when people be like, people will tell you what to do with your life. And it's like, people hate when people tell them what to do with their life, but nobody's telling you what to do with your life, per se. Like, people are just telling you what worked for them. And then, if it works for you, that's great, right? And if it doesn't, that's great too. Like, that's fine too. Like, because then it gives you the chance to try something else. But, like, you have to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, like, self-awareness is said, but it's like people aren't understanding how deep these words mean. How deep it means to say to someone, like, you have to be self-aware before you just start taking advice, of other people, because those people are giving you advice that worked for them, but it might not work for you because you're a different human that might have a different intention. Like, intention matters. So you have to ask yourself the deep questions. Like, we have to look inward within ourselves, look in the mirror at ourselves, literally and metaphorically, right? Like, metaphorically speaking, we need to look in the mirror at ourselves to then see who we are now. Like, we're not our perfect, like, most people, when they first become conscious, like almost everyone, when you first become consciously aware, you become consciously aware that you are not who you thought you were. You're not the best version of yourself. Maybe you're not as good of a person as you thought you were. Maybe you're not as whatever as you thought you were. And that's okay. But we have to begin to look and then decide, like, start making decisions. Like, this is why I don't believe in determinism. Like, I made a video about this where I do believe that the universe is both a deterministic world and a free will world. They both exist. But I don't like the idea of determinism because people then, like, I like ideas that empower us. I don't want an idea that weakens me. Like, because ideas can empower you or it can weaken you. The idea that, you know, there's nothing you can do about your life because it was determined. So it was determined that you would be out of shape. It was determined that you would not be able to do what you love to do. It was determined that you would never be able to become the person you were meant to be. I think that's bullshit. Like, I really do. It's bullshit. I think to me, it just sounds like an excuse to not put the work in on yourself and saying, oh, it was God's fault because it was all determined. And it's like, no, we have to start taking responsibilities as human beings and understand that our life is on us. And we can change ourselves. We can change our routines. We can change what we do. We could change all this shit, bro. Like, I don't know. It's just, it takes work to be able to first gain self-awareness and self-understanding. Then second, be like, okay, well, where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? How do I want to think? What do I want to, whatever. And then you work towards that. You know, you might have to change your entire routine that you do in a week. Every week you might have to like you got to check in with yourself. You got to check in with yourself. If you have these goals, you got to check in with your goals. If you have all this shit, you just got to check in. Because if you don't check in with yourself and who you are, and like, basically the world will just push you a certain way. Like, you'll end up in a random spot that you didn't intentionally want to go to because you weren't intentional with how you live. Like, just like it's preferred to be intentional with your psychedelic experiences, it's preferred to be intentional with how you live because you'll have a better experience out of life if you are doing things that, that you want to do with your life. You'll have a better experience with a psychedelic, trip if you are doing what you wanted or your intention in the trip. Imagine if every time you tripped, you were forced to do someone else's intention. No wonder why people think life is shitty. Because they're living someone else's life, basically. Like, they're not living their own life. They're not figuring out what they want to do. They're not figuring out all of these things that it's like, okay, if you feel like shit, we've all been there. But we don't have to stay there. And I don't think people realize that. Like, they don't have to stay in that mental fucked up state that they're in. They don't have to, like, if they're out of shape, they don't gotta stay like that. If they're depressed or anxious, they don't gotta stay like that. Like, they really don't. It's just a matter of looking at ourselves. If you're at a job you hate, you really don't have to stay at it. Like, we think we do because they're like, oh, we got responsibilities. But, like, we can work hard to figure out a different way. If only you just take the time to actually think about a different way. Like, I don't know. And I know it's not easy. But life is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be life. So, I don't know. Like, and sometimes things won't go your way, and that's fine, right? Like, I got this new facial cream or whatever, and I rubbed some, like, right here, and it, like, did something to my face. I was like, the fuck? I wasn't intending to whatever. I'm like, oh, man, I might as well stuck with the shit that I've been doing. But sometimes you gotta try new shit. And sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it makes things worse, sometimes whatever, but you'll never know if you're not intentional with what you are trying to do or what you want to do. Like, I don't know. I've been trying different things for my face, to keep myself young, to keep my skin healthy. Um, and I still got a lot of personal things I need to work on in my life, and just so many goals and so many things, but I'm slowly getting there because I'm slowly thinking about all this shit. Like, I'm thinking about the things I want. I didn't just get in shape randomly. I didn't just go down the psychedelic journey randomly. It was all intentional. And I think that's how you live a better life. By being intentional in your life. Live life with intention. And like I said in that one video, live life with purpose. If you do what I said in that, like, if I did what I did in that my video that I said, like, live life with purpose, I lived life with purpose. But that's only because I became intentional about what type of life I wanted to live and what my purpose was and what, like, all this shit, right? It took a lot of work of analyzing the self, figuring out myself, and really figuring out who I want to be. It's not about who you are. It's about who do you want to be. It's not about, like, whatever you want, you can achieve if you're willing to put the work in behind it.